Welcome everyone to another episode of Supply Chain Unchained. This is a podcast where we discuss insights and stories from all the way across the supply chain, from forwarding all the way through to the end consumer. My name is Amanatidis and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Navia. My guest for today is our Director of Trade and Customs Compliance, Lowell de France, from Chicago office. What we're going to be doing in this new format of the podcast is going through a series of questions with each guest, ranging from essentially past to future. So we're going to start off talking about Lowell's background, where he comes from, and where his work fits into the supply chain overall picture. Then we're going to talk to what's on his mind right now and the biggest challenge currently, and insight or learning that he might have learned over his career that could help someone who's watching this, and then a future view, in the next 12 to 18 months, where does he see the supply chain, particularly the trade and customs compliance space, going?
Yeah, my background is I was an international business major out of college, and I was always interested in trying to see how everything got moved around, and they never really taught that in college. So I ended up getting a job at a freight forwarder where I did a lot of import consols, and then I did export, and then I did air export. And then in 1994, I got my customs broker's license. And after that, I did that for a few years when I decided that what I really like to do is go back to law school. So I went to law school at night, and I passed the bar. I'm currently an attorney in Illinois. Nice. And I really enjoy teaching people about the trade law and how it, and all the different laws and how they affect them, and as far as they're importing or exporting goods, if it's controlled items. After I did that, I found out that data is the way to go. So we've been doing a lot of Python and Visual Basic for Excel and other scripts to help move the data from people's customers' data to entries. And I'm looking very excited to being able to use maybe AI tools to audit data and get insight from the data that we have, because we have quite a lot of data in customs.
What is the biggest challenge for you right now? What are you looking at facing in the next 6 months?
Well, right now, the biggest challenge in the U.S. is just the changing tariff environment. Every item is getting different or new tariffs based on the amount of steel or aluminum or copper, or if they're auto parts. Right now, there's about 7 or 8 different Section 232 duties, in addition to these IEEPA tariffs, which are reciprocal tariffs that go to every country. And it just keeps changing every day, so we have to keep updating our systems. We have to download product databases, and we have to update the new tariff numbers based on the country of origin and exactly what it is. And depending on the tariff number, sometimes, we have to break down the content of metals or materials in each item, which is pretty data intensive. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we're facing right now. Just the amount of duties has gone up so much in the past year, from relatively small amounts of duty to just astronomical.
How do you manage that?
So we manage it by going over all the new announcements in the Federal Register. We pull all the tariff numbers out of it. We run those tariff numbers against tariff numbers of our clients in their databases, and then we re-upload that new set of tariffs in there. And we try to keep track of all the dates so that we know that when the new dates kick in, that these new tariff numbers will kick in. Recently, these new tariffs have been effective almost immediately out of the blue. So it's a lot of scrambling around to try to get everything updated. Yeah.
And then what's the ultimate impact for, someone that's importing goods? I guess what are the impacts for them with so many changes coming in?
Yeah, well, I think we're seeing with a lot of other people that aren't managing it with systems and computer data, that there's being a lot of delays as they're trying to figure out exactly what it is that's coming in. And there's a lot of issues, the fact that people don't, there's a lot of questions, new questions, that all of a sudden have to be asked about products that aren't getting answered right away. That's one of the biggest challenges. There's all sorts of new categories of goods, and there's new different duty tariffs and everything like that has to be built out. Aluminum and steel and copper is one thing, then we have whether or not it's an auto part or not an auto part. And a lot of people are importing tariff numbers that aren't associated with auto parts, but yet they're getting hit with the auto tariff because someone's not paying attention that it's not an auto part. And so these are new questions like you have to ask the importers, are these auto parts? And, or to simply look at the material and say these aren't auto parts and they shouldn't be classified as such. So there's a lot of new things coming on. It's a lot more complicated than it used to be.
Obviously, there's the delay part, but if those goods get misclassified or classified incorrectly, then you've got to go back and correct the issue and maybe, either pay extra duties or a different amount of duties to what you would have paid initially.
It's happening so fast. Customs isn't really able to code for all the data validations. So there's a lot of things that are being done wrong, and it's going to take a while for them all to iron themselves out.
Gotcha.
So there could be a lot of penalties or fines if you're not, following up on your entries and making sure everything was done right in the first place.
Awesome. Cool. We'll go on to the next question. So I guess what I'm looking for here is, one light bulb moment or pivotal challenge that really, really shaped or changed the way that you understood the supply chain. Does anything come to mind that you could tell the listeners?
Well, yeah, I have a couple things that I can think about that really set me off. I think it was when I was studying in law school, and I realized that all the language in the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, which is from 1949, all that language was just mirrored itself in U.S. law and just how intertwined all the laws were and how they're all international. I realized then that, hey, there's a lot of things we could do with data manipulation that could help clients. And that's when I started studying more computer programming and coding and scripting to make sure that, to help clients move data into their systems and out of the systems better.
You found that the international laws matched the domestic US laws, and that was, again, uniform across the globe?
Yeah, it pretty much was. It currently is being thrown on its head quite a bit. They found some laws that we weren't really using. But I found like a lot of our agreements that we have in trade, we have the similar kinds of laws. And we had a lot of them. Finally, we had the WTO and the World Dispute Organization. And most of these things now are being thrown aside, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But, for one point, it was like we were moving towards a more rule-based world order and trade. And I thought that was really interesting.
Could you give us, I guess, your view of where you think supply chain will move? Whether that's supply chain generally or trade and customs compliance.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that this is probably more of a blip than it is a long-term trend. I think long-term trend is definitely of trade to be more liberal throughout the world. It just benefits everybody. It's good for the economies. It's good for economies of scale. The other advantages of trade. And so eventually, we're going to go back to probably, hopefully, more trade. I think we're going to be definitely looking at more diversification of sourcing throughout the world, not just relying on one or two sources of your material, but also looking at, the capacity, making sure your sources have both capacity in different countries in case things like this change on the dime, so you're going to be ready to make changes and adapt. And a lot of that is going to have to do with a lot of data tracking everything back to the source. So you're not only going to have to know that you're buying a widget in one country, you're going to have to know where every component of that widget came from in order to keep yourself safe from being from accusations of forced labor or that you're using illegal materials. And right now we're kind of seeing that a lot. There's a lot of availability for duty savings for companies that are going to be granular with their data, especially as it goes to the use of U.S. products being made overseas. If you have, a lot of that material is actually originating in the U.S., there's a lot of duty savings that's out there that's available for people to get if they get their data down and they can track every part of their supply chain. So that's probably what we're going to be seeing, along with the free trade agreements. For example, into the U.S. right now, if you have over 25% of U.S. components coming in, you can get that reduced. You can reduce your reciprocal duties, which we don't know how long reciprocal duties are going to last. But right now, you can currently reduce those duties by the amount of U.S. goods that are in there if it's over 20%.
With that piece of, if there's duty savings to be had if a certain number of or percentage of your components are made in the US, you mentioned that you need granular data to get that. Why might an importer have or not have that level of granularity at the moment? What might be hindering them?
Well, a lot of people aren't collecting it. There's been no advantage to collect it. They haven't been collecting it. They have to actually go to their suppliers and ask to collect it. It has to be more of a partnership with their suppliers to get the data that they need about their products.
Yep.
And they have to be convinced, I could buy more of your products if you give me this data. So there has to be some way to do that. And also, just the use of data out there right now is just getting easier for people to put in one format or change the format or bring it from one format to another. So, where things used to be hand typed, nowadays everything's definitely like in some kind of spreadsheet, SAP, or other ERM software that can easily be manipulated to provide the data. And, there's a lot of opportunities for AI to kind of find where that data is and what it's supposed to be.
Awesome. Very insightful as always. A true expert in the field. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe either on YouTube or Spotify. We will be releasing more of these episodes throughout the course of the year. Thank you for your time, Lowell, and we will see you next time.